And from the sound of things, you're all ready to go. I'd like to welcome each of you to the meeting of the Academic Assembly, April the 29th, 2016, today. Most of you probably already know me. If you don't know me, my name is Troy Sullivan. I'm the Vice Chair of the Academic Assembly, and I want to welcome aboard all of our other remote locations. I definitely want to thank the IT people for their hard work in turning this around really quickly from the PSC to the Arts Complex Theater to be able to bring all of these different locations on board. It takes a lot of hands in this cookie dough to make it work. And so I definitely appreciate them for that effort. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Looking out at the group, I want to recognize that we do have a quorum present, and let that be noted in the minutes. Each of you received an email earlier that had the minutes from the May 7th, 2015 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those? Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, motions are carried and the minutes are approved from last year. This time I want to recognize our registrar, Miss Brenda Hogan, to come forward. As you're coming forward, we have 2 microphones. These will feed back to our remote locations. It is very important that if you're speaking, you need to use the microphones or either on stage, whichever you want to do. Otherwise, the other locations may not be able to hear you. So.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The report for the graduates for this year for the class of 2016. Unfortunately, we're down this year by 12%. The class of 2016, we have 1,074 students graduating. Of that number, 661 are baccalaureate students with a bachelor's degree. Compared to last year, we're down 3% for the class. If we compare spring semester with last spring semester, that would be 15% down for the term. Commencement will be on May 11th and May 12th. The first ceremony will be Health Sciences, which starts at 3 p.m. On May 12th, we'll have the College of Arts and Sciences and Georgia Academy, which starts at 10. On May 12th, also at 3 p.m., we have Aviation, Business, Education, and the IT school. The faculty lineup will be as we did in the fall in the Wellness Center. There are no tickets required for faculty. We will have a meeting on Monday, so you will get an email with more details. Students will be staged in the Student Life Center as we planned last year. The cafeteria will be open, so we'll have just the left side of the cafeteria roped off for the students. Only the guests for the graduates will have tickets, and they are limited. We are full for each ceremony. There are no extra tickets if you get that question from students. We will have an overflow room for those guests that will not fit into the live venue, and it will be located in the Professional Science Building, the banquet hall. That's all I have. Hope to see you there.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the graduates for this year? Do I hear a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay. The graduates are approved. At this time, I'd like to call our parliamentarian, Mr. Bill Hervey, forward for the election of officers for the 2016-2017 academic year. This is speaking to the faculty vice chair of the assembly and then also the parliamentarian.
Okay. Thank you and good morning. We're going to be doing this across 5 campuses. So we're here to elect a vice chair and parliamentarian, as Troy said, and we're going to be asking for nominations. In the interest of transparency, I want to let everybody know that next year, there will be a little bit more work to those positions. As I'm going to say in another few minutes, we are going to be looking at the structure of the academic assembly as we change into a university. Sometimes you have to go back and review things, and the parliamentarian and vice chair will be part of that process. So before you nominate yourself, be warned. It's not all glamour. Okay? Are we good with the outline? Okay, so first we're going to nominate the vice chair. And what we're going to be doing is calling for nominations. First, we'll go to Eastman. And any nominations from Eastman? They're calling Eastman and Cochran as we do this. Darcy, you want to call Cochran and we'll do this? Also, any nominations then while they do that? Any nominations in Macon? No nominations in Macon. It's okay. We have a plan. There's always a backup plan. It's not pretty, but it's in the third round of the NFL draft. You got him? And now you're going to call Eastman. I think there's a trade. We have no nominations here. I think I've said that. No? Okay, we got a no from Cochran and a heck no from Eastman. I apologize, but we only have the one-way system. No? No? All righty. Watch this, folks. I'm sorry, but it's going to look very much like a Trump campaign. Charles Mattson has the floor.
Don't go to politics.
This is for vice chair, right?
This is for vice chair.
I would like to nominate Dr. Troy Sullivan.
Would anybody like to have a discussion? Any opposed, in all seriousness? We're trying to get through the day, and as we do this on 5 campuses, it is funny, but it is serious. No discussions? Since there's only one candidate, we can do away with the paper ballot, and we can do it by a voice vote. Is that okay? All in favor of Troy Sullivan as vice chair of the Academic Assembly for next year? Signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Say nay. Anybody in the other precincts? Well, you know what? We have a quorum here, so. All right. Being that there are no oppositions, or at least minimal, Troy Sullivan is next year's vice chair-elect. The next election is for parliamentarian. This is where revenge is extracted. Were there any for parliamentarian from our folks down there?
Well, you only had one up for nomination, so.
Go ahead. Who do you got for parliamentarian? You want to come up and nominate?
Parliamentarian. Okay, thank you.
Charles is actually making the phone calls. Anybody on this side want pepperoni? I want you to remember this when we talk about the next motion about going back and looking at processes seriously, okay?
Anything on parliamentarian? Okay, thank you.
We got 2 no's? Surprise. Oh. Dr. Sun is.
Yes, we have a nomination.
We have a nomination. Where?
And Mr. Bill Murphy.
Oh, geez. This isn't a beauty contest. All right, obviously. All right. Any other nominations? This is called getting through the. Second. All righty. Being that there are no other candidates, we're going to go straight to a voice vote. All in favor of William, was it Hervey? As parliamentarian, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please vote. Okay. Well, then it seems that Troy and I are going to be doing this again next year. Thank you. I know it's lighthearted, but that's the way we have to do it with the five, and we really do look forward to doing it. This is why I want to talk to you about something else. The faculty governance is very important. You know, we kind of look at it as hackneyed, but at times you're going to miss it if it's not there. And so as we move towards being a university, as I said, and having all these campuses, we're going to have to look and just take a review of the processes that have been in place for a while. The Faculty Senate's role is representational. You all vote for that, and we have the meetings, and they do a great job. Patrick's not here, but we do appreciate that. The Academic Assembly has been always so that individuals can have a say in government. Any one of you, as faculty members voting, can stand and call to either abolish or change or vote against anything, overturn any recommendation of the Senate. You know that. Not that we should all become a bunch of crazy people, but that is what faculty governance is. So with that, as we move to a university, it's been suggested that we take a step back, try to form an ad hoc committee to look at the processes and format of the Academic Assembly. Nobody's asking to have it abolished. Nobody's saying anything's wrong with it, but we do have an obligation to the school to look at it. That's why I said it's going to be a little bit more work, which I know you heard. So with that, I would like to ask if anybody out there could make a motion, and I'd like to ask for a motion for the formation of an ad hoc committee to look at reviewing the format and processes of the Academic Assembly. Can somebody make a motion?
So moved.
Ed Wallace moves. Stephen Taylor seconds. Okay, any discussion? And again, any vote we have is not a vote to abolish or change it now. It is to discuss where we're going. You may want to strengthen, you know what I'm saying? It's just that way. Any discussion, Kevin?
The assembly was formed as an additional body to the Senate a few years ago, and there's an important vote function to it, which can either support or override the Senate. And as we go forward as a university, this question is particularly important in the formation of an ad hoc committee. As Bill has said, there's no recommendation to abolish the committee. But in consultation with the president, he wanted to make sure that there was a consensus discussion about the status of the assembly, and going forward, there was a formal body that would make a recommendation to all of us. So this comes from consultation with the president, and it's an important question, but there's no rush to come to a conclusion, but there should be a process by which a committee reviews this and then makes a recommendation to this entire body, probably by early spring next year.
Okay. Any other questions or discussions? We have phone calls into Eastman and Cochran and Dublin and Warner Robins. Let's get their votes first, because we should allow them to have a vote before we vote. Try to split it up a little bit. It's a delay. There's a sound delay going back and forth, so.
Any discussion or anything? Okay. Thank you. Warner Robins in favor?
Warner Robins is unanimously in favor. Unanimous in Dublin. Again, thank you for your patience as we do this. This is one of the things we're going to be looking at in the summer or the spring. Who's that, Eastman? Thank you for that musical interlude. Okay. Thank you, Albert. I appreciated that. The Eastman is all in favor. We got all in favor in Eastman. All 22 people in Concord are in favor. How about a vote in Macon? All in favor of a motion to refer the issue of reviewing the form and processes of academic assembly to an ad hoc committee, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any against? Say nay. Okay, motion passes. I am very proud that every faculty member and academic assembly member has agreed on an issue. It's a historic day. I'm going to now, thank you for that, and I appreciate your patience. I'm going to turn this back over to Dr. Sullivan as we proceed. Thank you all.
At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Chip Rogers to come forward to give the report of the Faculty Senate. Dr. Rogers is the vice chair standing in place of Dr. Patrick Brennan, who's not able to be with us this morning as chair of the Faculty Senate. Following his remarks, he will be calling up each of the committees and boards for their individual reports. Dr. Rogers.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm sure Patrick would rather be here. I'm a little surprised to be here. I'm even more surprised to discover that I have a tie. Who knew? I'm going to read Dr. Brennan's report for the Faculty Senate 2015-2016. For academic year 2016, the MGA Faculty Senate has been made up of 31 faculty senators, 26 representing academic units, and 5 at-large senators, each representing one of our 5 campuses. Our first regular meeting was held on August 13th, 2015 in Macon with teleconference access from Cochrane. After this first meeting, all our regular meetings were held on the Macon campus with teleconference access from all 4 of our other campuses, Cochrane, Dublin, Eastman, and Warner Robins. Following last spring's Faculty Senate officer elections, Dr. Patrick Brennan has served a second term as faculty chair. Dr. Chip Rogers served a second term as vice chair. Dr. John Patillo has served a second term as recorder. And Dr. Sharon Colley has served a second term as parliamentarian. New Senate officers will be elected at our next meeting a week from today. At that time, the Senate will have held 8 regular meetings during this academic year. The Senate voted on a variety of proposals and policies related to our development as a state university. We voted to increase the membership requirements of the Promotion, Tenure, and Post-Tenure Review Committee and its subcommittees. We created a new standing committee, the Non-Traditional Programs Review Committee. We established councils of the MGA Faculty Senate. We inaugurated our first Senate Council, the Graduate Studies Council. We endorsed important campus initiatives such as our QEP, Knowledge at Work, the LEAP Initiative, a national advocacy, campus action, and research initiative that champions the importance of 21st century liberal arts education. In addition, we voted on new university policies, new degree tracks, new certificates, associate degree deletions, and substantive curriculum changes. The circulating minutes of the MGA Faculty Senate are published on Inside MGA within 10 business days of each meeting. You may access approved Faculty Senate minutes and agendas on the Faculty Shared Governance site. Minutes and agendas are posted here soon after the Senate approves them. Thank you. I'd like to call up the chair of the executive committee to give the executive committee report, Edwin Wallace. Okay.
All right, for some unknown reason, I'm a tad bit nervous, so if I talk really fast, You're welcome. All righty. The Executive Committee had its first meeting on the 14th of August, 2015, and met for a total of 8 times this academic year. Young-Suk Chae and Peter Grice were chosen as the chair-elect and recorder respectively, and many tasks were completed by the Executive Committee, including the following. Populated the standing committees and boards of the Faculty Senate for the current academic year. We are currently in the process of populating these committees and boards for the departments in the College of Arts and Sciences for the next academic year. School positions will be populated in the spring of next year for the following academic year. Initiated and approved changes to the membership of the Promotion, Tenure, Post-Tenure Oversight Committee. The PTR Oversight Committee will be composed of 7 members with approximately equal numbers of full professors and associate professors with at least 5 years of service at the institution. The PTPR Unit Subcommittee members will also require at least 5 years of service with the institution. Initiated and approved changes to the Alternate Academic Affairs Committee. Its name has been changed to the Non-Traditional Programs Review Committee and has a clear description added to the bylaws. The Library Committee was separated from the Technological Resources Committee. The committee initiated and approved changes to the membership of the Institutional Review Board. The IRB description in the bylaws is now in compliance with federal regulations on human subject research. Approved the creation of the International Programs Review Board. Approved the creation of Interim Graduate Studies Council with accompanying bylaws. The Graduate Studies Council was also made permanent during the spring semester. Organized staggered faculty, senate, and executive committee elections during the spring semester. Departments in the Colleges of Arts and Sciences had their elections this spring for terms starting next academic year. School and at-large Senate seats will have elections next spring for terms starting the following academic year. Approved change in the Academic Affairs Committee to the Academic Affairs Board. If approved by the Faculty Senate at its May meeting, this will allow members of the group to have 3-year or longer terms. I don't know, well, that was the Academic Affairs thing. I asked for that one. All right. Approve the process for promotion to senior lecturer. If approved by the Faculty Senate, this would give lecturers an opportunity for promotion and added career stability. For a more detailed description of the activities of the Exec Committee, you may go to the files located at the Standing Committees and Boards, Agendas and Minutes link under the Shared Governance link on the Faculty and Staff page on the university website. I'd like to take this moment to thank personally each member of the Exec Committee for their individual contributions and, of course, to this process of faculty governance. Thank you.
Next, we have a report from the Academic Affairs Committee, Dr. Cherie Keith.
All right. Academic Affairs met for the first time on August 21st. We met 8 times. Over those 8 meetings, we reviewed and discussed hundreds, I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of proposals for new courses, programs, and policies. As Ed had already stated, the Academic Affairs Committee will be an Academic Affairs Board next year, allowing for members to serve longer, I don't want to say sentences, that sounds wrong, but longer terms to ensure continuity of information and knowledge on the committee. If you've ever been to a meeting, there's minutia involved. Thank you, all of my committee members, for putting up with all the minutia and catching all the things that we have to catch as it comes through. The chair of the committee next year will be Dr. Traders. That was brief.
From the Academic Personnel Policies Committee, Dr. Sabrina Winger.
I thought we had met a lot, but apparently not. So we met 4 times this year. The first time on November 17th, and we've had a total of 4 meetings in the course of the year and some electronic voting as well. Dr. Mary Mears from the English department is the chair-elect for next year. And we have reviewed the faculty handbook. We have reviewed and approved the senior lecturer position proposal. We reviewed and approved the graduate assistantship handbook. And we conducted a study on the faculty workload agreement. And these 3 items that I just mentioned will be presented next week at the Faculty Senate. Thank you.
From the Faculty Development Committee, Jonathan Yerby.
The 2015-16 Faculty Development Committee met 2 times to accomplish all of the business of the committee. First meeting was on October 27th, 2015. Second meeting was on March 25th of 16. The committee made recommendations for 25 applications to be fully or partially funded in the total amount of $30,450, utilizing 94% of our 32.5 budget. This year, the committee experienced a larger amount of international development applications than years prior, and through the support of administration to change some of the budget lines, we were able to support at least all of the applications, at least partially. The committee made 3 recommendations for changes. The first recommendation is to change the fall deadline from September 15th to October 15th. Justification was the September 15th was too early in the year, faculty just getting in for the fall semester. The second recommendation is to send emails directly to faculty members to announce Faculty Development Committee funds, so it doesn't always get buried in the Inside MGA newsletter. The third recommendation is that next year the committee pilot an online submission system to better track applications, communicate with faculty when applications are incomplete. Stefan Stokowski from the Aviation Management and Structural Technology Program will serve as the chair of Faculty Development Committee next year. Thank you to the committee, Dr. Bedwell, Dr. Cantwell, and the constant interest and inquiry from the executive committee throughout the year. Thank you.
From the Faculty Recognition Committee, Dr. Stephen Wallace.
I need to go up there.
Hi. Faculty Recognition Committee met twice this academic year, once on the Macon campus in December of 2015, and then in Warner Robins this past March. The committee reviewed and modified the nomination and selection process for the 3 Faculty Excellence Awards. We talked about making a 4th award, but couldn't come to a consensus for that one. The goal for this year's committee was to bolster the participation by all academic units in nominating candidates for these awards. There were 7 nominees for the Scholarship Award, 4 for the Service, and 9 for the Teaching Award, representing 10 different academic units and several home campuses from Middle Georgia State University. So I think we accomplished that goal. After much deliberation and consideration, the committee chose Dr. John Gerard for the Scholarship Award. Is he here? There he is. Dr. Shane Trayers for the Service Award. I saw her come in. And Dr. Loretta Clayton for the Teaching Award. So congratulations to them. The committee's members worked very hard to review all the candidates' impressive resumes. Picking a single winner in each category was extremely difficult, so we encouraged those nominees who didn't hear their name called at honors convocation or today to nominate themselves again for the award next year, because any one of them could have won. I give my good luck to Marina Spears, who will be the committee's chair next year. Thank you.
The Committee of Technological Resources, Dr. Chris Lawrence.
Good morning. The Technological Resources Committee met first on October 28th and met 3 times during the academic year. We also conducted additional business electronically. At the request of Dr. Cantwell, we examined current policies regarding the delivery of distance learning courses at Middle Georgia State, particularly as they pertain to graduate programs, new and proposed. Some of these matters related to the policy, or some of the matters related to these policies, including the adoption of a university-wide intellectual property policy, are now being addressed by others. We will be making a series of recommendations to the Senate and Dr. Cantwell in our written report. The chair-elect for next year is Lane Brooks, and as my final duty as chair, I'd like to thank all the members of the committee for their cheerful service this year. Thank you.
From the Library Resources Committee, Dr. Abigail Noble.
I'm not Dr. Abigail Noble, but I am Sonia Evans, and I'm reading this report on her behalf. The Library Resources Committee first convened on November 10th, 2015. We then met one additional time in this spring. An ongoing objective of the committee members is to serve as library liaisons to our respective departments. These liaisons are present to help faculty members utilize the collections and provide support with the ALG services. The committee also looked into the possible effects that the addition of graduate studies will have on library resources, staffing, and instructional services. The primary areas of focus included the need for extended hours of operation, offering support directed toward graduate student research objectives, and creating introductory guides for students to learn about what the library has to offer for their research needs. Some of these tasks have been accomplished with the addition of Graduate Studies librarian Chris Nyland and the webpage that has been made specifically to address the resources available for graduate students. The chair of the committee for the 2016-2017 academic year will be myself, Sonia Evans, from the Department of Nursing. Thank you.
From the Promotion, Tenure, and Post-Tenure Review Committee, Dr. Barry Monk.
Good morning. As the chair of the PT-PTR committee, as it's known, you may have received some emails from me over the year related to different PT-PTR matters, and some of those emails may have ended up in your clutter box, which is where most of my emails probably belong. This year, the PT-PTR committee had 2 meetings and did a substantial amount of work electronically. Some of the work of the committee this year included overseeing the promotion and tenure process for 13 candidates and the post-tenure review process for 9 candidates. We submitted a number of proposals to the executive committee, some of which you've heard already from Ed, and to Faculty Senate. One of those proposals, most of the proposals were about composition of the committees, but one of those proposals was beginning the work to put in place a senior lecturer position. There's more work that needs to be done with that, but we've begun the process for that. In what I consider to be probably one of our more important things that we've done, this year the committee carefully considered USG language for that regarding tenure at state universities. And being a new state university, this language newly applies to us. The language is, I'll read it out. The language says that tenure requires the terminal degree in the appropriate discipline or its equivalent in training, ability, and or experience. That language could be interpreted narrowly, or it could be interpreted broadly. A narrow interpretation would mean that if you do not have the terminal degree, then tenure is not attainable. The PT-PTR committee unanimously voted on a resolution that said that we interpret the equivalence in training, ability, and or experience to include those with master's degrees. And it is the unanimous opinion of the PT-PTR committee. And we've done this in speaking with Provost Cantwell about it. It is our opinion that those with master's degrees should be able to get tenure at Middle Georgia State University. It's a non-binding resolution, but that is the unanimous opinion of the committee. The chair-elect for the 2016-17 PT-PTR committee is John Trimboli, and I just want to thank the committee. It has been a great committee this year, and I just want to thank them for their service.
From the Committee of Student Affairs, Dr. Julie Lester.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank committee members as well as our friends in Student Affairs and Student Life and the Budget Office for all of the fun work that we had the opportunity to do this year. We had 3 meetings. The first was on Friday, October 30th, and all 3 meetings were held at the Warner Robins campus. 3 big items of business. I won't get into the tiny details. You can look at the minutes to find that out if you're interested, or contact me. Approval of the Graduate Studies Handbook, approval of numerous updates to the Student Handbook to kind of change the language to update university status and align us with other handbooks, policy and procedure manuals that are in existence, and approval of student fees and the budget. So, our chair for next year will be Dr. Brooke Miller.
From the Student Honors and Graduation Committee, Dr. Rhonda Emerson.
Good morning. The Student Honors Awards and Graduation Committee held their first meeting on November the 30th. The committee met face-to-face 3 times this academic year. The committee's major accomplishments included planning and implementing honors convocation and interviewing the President's Scholar nominees to determine 2 finalists for this award, with the recipient ultimately being determined by Dr. Blake. On the day of the event, committee members ensured last-minute details were addressed and assisted with greeting students and guests. And I didn't realize this could happen, but I will serve a second term as the chair for the next academic year.
From the Campus Safety Committee, Dr. Clinton Reddy.
All right. That's what I was saying. All right. Dr. Reddy could not be here, nor is representative from the committee. However, I do have his report here to read. The Safety Committee met once during the fall semester 2015 on November 11th and once during the spring semester on April 22nd. During the fall meeting, the committee elected Ed Weathersby as the chair-elect and Lorene Lohman as the recorder and secretary for the current year. One thing that was discussed at both meetings was the probability of getting security cameras in parking lots. This was brought up because of a report of several car tires that were slashed in a parking lot earlier in the fall 2015 semester. Perhaps security cameras could be acquired that could be reviewed if similar incidents occurred in the future. Something that was brought up in the spring meeting was that the 2016-2017 Safety Committee might be very busy in response to the new legislation that allows students to carry concealed weapons on campus. Faculty, staff, and students need to be trained to respond to the possibility of increased numbers of weapons on campus. Respectively submitted, Clinton C. Reddy, Chair of the Safety Committee.
The Board of Institutional Effectiveness, Dr. Sumi Himangchu.
The Institutional Effectiveness Board, IEB as we like to think of it, convened on February 26, 2016. We reviewed 12 academic programs for this cycle, and we forward the data to the Provost's office for the Provost review. Hot off the press, the USG has inaugurated a new instrument for comprehensive program review for the next year, and we look forward to applying that to our program reviews. Let's see, Ms. Terry Miller was elected as the recorder for academic year 2017, and Dr. Himangchu will continue as board chair for the next year. I guess that's me. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Wern for her guidance throughout the process, for Deborah Lindsay for her administrative assistance, to all the members of the board for those who were on the board last year and who were continued this year and will continue forward for your service to the institution. Thank you.
The Strategic Planning Board, Dr. Vicki Luther.
The Strategic Planning Board met once, I know, jealous, aren't you, during the 15-16 academic year. The meeting was held on December 1st, 2015. Dr. Benita Muth was elected as chair of the board for the 16-17 academic year, and Dr. Kara Smith-Savanovic as recorder. The main work of the board focused upon reviewing institutional strategic policies and goals to ensure that they align with USG policies and goals. There was considerable discussion as well concerning the need to restructure the board. We also discussed board membership for upcoming academic years, specifically in terms of representation and the number of individuals serving on the board. Due to the accreditation visits that occurred during this year, the board held off in making any major decisions, but the work will begin more earnestly in the fall. Thank you.
From the Institutional Review Board, Dr. Jeff Moore.
To be brief, in our Twitter world, we had 3 face-to-face meetings, 8 electronic, 11 proposals approved. Chair is Javon Frazier. Hashtag greatness, IRB out.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. From the Student Conduct Board, Dr. Carmen Lenz.
Good morning. I'd like to thank the board members for their year of service to the university. Throughout the fall and spring semester, board members served on panels to adjudicate student conduct cases. In the process, certain issues have arisen that require further training, which we will address in the fall of next year under the guidance of Michael Stewart. Thank you.
For the Intercollegiate Athletics Board, Bill Hervey.
I'm reading this on behalf of the Board Chair, Athletic Director Charles Mullis. In the second year of NAIA sports, the board met and continued to implement the rules and processes regarding the eligibility, financial aid, and athletic facilities. It worked to gain approval and implement 2 new sports to begin this fall. Women's volleyball and women's cross country both will be here in Macon. Charles Mullis will continue as chair of the board next year. The athletic department and student athletes sincerely thank the faculty for their hard work and support. Also the registrar's office. Thank you.
From the Student Media Advisory Board, Dean Ron Williams. Okay, no report, and that concludes the report from the Faculty Senate, its committees and boards. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Dr. Rogers for bringing the Faculty Senate report and all the committee chairs of the boards, committees that make that up. And you can tell there's a lot of work that goes on. That's what I was speaking to Dr. Rogers as these reports were coming up. You don't realize how much goes on from the standpoint until you hear this, and people are spread out in 5 different locations, and there's a lot of activity, a lot of mental brain powers in this room and the rooms of the people that I cannot see, but they can hear me, and I guess see me too. I think the university, and definitely know that the university benefits from all that brain power, and we see that coming through in these committees and boards as these reports come forward. At this time, I'd like to call up Dr. Randy Spade, our chair of the Graduate Studies Council, to give his report.
Good morning. This is a new council, and I'll read this so I keep it relatively brief, but there are a few more details in this. The interim Graduate Studies Council was established to implement and foster a graduate studies culture and provide a forum and a process for developing policies and practices for graduate studies at Middle Georgia State. 16 members were appointed to the interim council by the provost and president for a 2-year term. At our first council meeting in August of 2015, officers were elected and draft bylaws were reviewed. In the next meetings, council members and a chairperson were selected for our 4 standing committees. The council met 8 times this academic year to evaluate and discuss graduate admissions, graduate student resources, assistantships, and a draft handbook, review the curriculum and assessment for proposed graduate programs and certificates, and begin the process of formulating a draft graduate faculty handbook. Our Curriculum and Assessment Committee has developed a reliable instrument to evaluate graduate program proposals and shared valuable feedback to the schools of IT, nursing, education, and business. Our Student Resources Committee has worked with Student Affairs to implement a grad student advisory group, and our Faculty Development Committee has identified qualifications, rules, roles, expectations, and resources for graduate course instructors. The Graduate Studies Council was recently granted permanent status by the Faculty Senate and will continue to serve as an advisory group, making recommendations to the president, the provost, the Senate, and its standing committees. I thank the members and the leaders of this council and look forward to working with you next year. Thank you very much.
At this time, I'd like to call our interim provost, Dr. Kevin Cantwell, as he'll be bringing the president's office report.
I don't have a report from the president, who will be addressing the faculty and staff and recent soon-to-be report via email. I will be answering questions at Senate next week. He is at a system meeting this morning and is unable to be here. And I believe he has a time conflict as well for the Senate meeting, but he wants you to know that he will be issuing reports and updates pretty quickly. In this spot, I would like to make a couple of quick announcements, points of information as a segue to reports from other officers. Today, we are submitting to the Board of Regents final answers to questions we have received about our 2 master's degrees that are currently under review by the board, the Master's of Science in Management and the Master's of Art in Teaching. We are hopeful that both degrees will be, both proposals will be on the agenda of the Board of Regents by next week. But that is the question that will be addressed by our answers that we will submit today. Campus carry will be signed or not signed by this coming Tuesday. I think that's what the law requires. It's unlikely that the governor will pocket veto it. We don't have any inclination as to what direction he will take, but we should know something on next Tuesday. Couple other announcements. I want to ask deans and chairs to send out end-of-term reminders regarding grades, submitting grades, grade appeals at the end of the year, and program assessments. A reminder about the faculty contract. Faculty contracts this year go through May 31st. And I want to ask all faculty to follow the lead of your deans and chairs regarding final end of the year duties and/or meetings. A couple of questions came to my office recently about the evaluation of deans, chairs, and assistant chairs. And I met with the deans last week or earlier this week and brought up the topic. We will appoint an ad hoc committee in June of chairs, deans, and faculty to review the instrument for evaluating deans, chairs, and assistant chairs. And I make this announcement just so that faculty understand that we have heard the comments and the questions, and we want to address it seriously. And that group will make some kind of recommendation early in the fall of next year. This June, I will ask the PT-PTR committee. Barry, I'm sorry I didn't notify you of this. I meant to yesterday. Your term doesn't end until July 1. This June, I will ask the PT-PTR committee to meet with chairs, deans, me, and the president to review procedures for promotion and tenure in order to strengthen our process and to formally ask deans and chairs for feedback. We had a promotion and tenure review task force of several years ago at the time of consolidation, put the PT-PTR committee together based on those recommendations and some adjustments from the then provost, Dr. Venn. And a couple of years into a consolidated institution, at the end of the first year as a university, the president and I, members of the PT-PTR committee, deans and chairs think that this is a good time for the committee to host a conversation and hear ideas from deans and chairs about process or anything else they might recommend going forward. That committee hasn't been formed, but there'll be further information about that soon. I want to thank everybody who made a report today, and Troy, who was apparently lied to by Dr. Robert McTire that if he were elected vice chair of the assembly, he would never have to do anything.
Those people that want to see a caning of Robert,
But Troy, I sincerely appreciate this. This is a very professional meeting this morning, and lighthearted as well, which should go hand in hand at a university. I want to thank Dr. Patrick Brennan, though he's not here. The Senate is a phenomenally strong organization, and if you've been to a Senate meeting and you've seen the order of process, the careful documentation of policies and proposals, and the seriousness by which the Senate does its business and duties, you will agree with me. Ed Wallace, where are you, Ed? Ed has run a very strong executive committee this year. He has been an advocate for process, for faculty governance in a very strong way. Ed and I have had many conversations about process, the role of the president's office in the executive committee, role of my office in the executive committee, and the role of the executive committee with other standing committees of the Senate. And we had I was part of a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I thought that the quality of discussion about governance, about process, about consultation was exceptional. And it really spoke to the maturity of the institution and the necessity for strong faculty input into the policies and strong faculty consultation with other offices. Cherie, thank you very much for your work with the Academic Affairs Committee. Dr. Warren's not here, but it is I'm sorry, no insult to anybody else, it is the hardest working committee on campus. And having signed every proposal this week that came through the Academic Affairs Committee, it took me over an hour to sign it. Tremendous work. Cherie, thank you very much. I want to thank Randy Spade for the work he's done with the Graduate Studies Council, the Interim Graduate Studies Council. It was an important step forward as an institution. It was formed quickly last summer in perhaps extra constitutional dynamics, which was a little bit of a concern to the Senate and the Executive Committee. But under Randy's leadership and with the patience of Patrick and the Executive Committee, the Graduate Studies Council worked very well this year. I'm happy to see it as a permanent body of the Senate. The council is not a body to go around the Senate. It is a body, as Randy indicated this morning, to make recommendations to the Academic Affairs Committee, the Senate, the standing committees of the Senate, et cetera. Finally, Dr. Clayton, I want to thank you for your work as interim Dean of Graduate Studies and for taking over work with the council in the middle of an extremely busy semester. Thank you for your work there. Just one other thing I would say. One final point, really another thanks. I want to thank the staff of the university for its support of faculty. I've worked very closely with staff for many years in many offices that support academic affairs offices, academic units, and student services. And they work as hard as anyone on campus, long hours, a quick turnaround of important detailed work. So if we could all thank the staff of the university. My final thanks are to the faculty of the university. I've been at the university for a long time at this location, and I've seen many people join the faculty, and it's my sense that we have an exceptional faculty at this institution, and I appreciate all the work that you've done this year and you will be doing next year. So thank you very much. That's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Cantwell. At this time, I'm going to call Ms. Jennifer Branna, if she'll come up and give her report, our Vice President for Student Affairs.
Hi. Happy Friday to you. It's been a great year in student affairs. I want to start with career services. If you've been around any amount of time, you know career services hasn't been the strongest unit in student affairs, but that all turned around this year. There have been our career services have been working on all 5 campuses and have provided lots of opportunities and events and job fairs and headshots and resume writing and everything you can imagine to get our students ready for careers. And I'm super excited about that and where we're going to go with career services. Student conduct, the University System of Georgia has changed our policies on student conduct, adjudication and due processes for students. And so our student conduct policies are changing, and once they get approved by the USG Legal Office, we will post those on the website, and you can take a look at how things are going to be changing with due process and student rights and things like that in the upcoming school year. That'll be updated into the student catalog once that's all approved and we move forward, but look forward to that. Our health clinics, we're so excited. We have 2 health clinics, one in Cochran and one in Macon. I know it had been closed last year for most of last year, and it's been great and flourishing. We have 2 interns that help with the nurse practitioner here in Macon, and the health services folks are going around doing health education on all 5 campuses, so we're excited about the direction of that as well. Orientation season is upon us, and as you know, every student is important, and recruitment and retention is everyone's business. So I look forward to you seeing all of our new students this year. We have a fantastic orientation team. If you see our orientation leaders, give them a high five because they work really, really hard throughout the summer and throughout the year. I do want to give them a little prop that they came in first place in their Southern orientation, regional orientation workshop. There was about 50 orientation teams there, university orientation teams there, and ours won first place in a dance step program. They were awesome. Hopefully you'll get to see them. They were fantastic and represented our institution really well, where people in the audience were going, who's this now? So we're excited about that. Student life, I'm very excited about student life. We're taking a whole different approach to it next year. Student engagement we're moving student life into more student engagement and focusing on leadership, community service, and diversity. Our new director of student engagement, Dr. Corey Guyton, if you haven't met him yet, I hope you will soon. He has a new programming plan for student life, and we're excited to see that unleashed in the fall. Student government, he's been working with our student government, and we've finally gotten a student government process and procedures, what a university SGA would look like and act like, and so fall is going to be an exciting time for student government. I do want to recognize our student leaders and all of you who work with our student leaders in clubs and organizations and teams. We have fantastic students, and you know that, but it's nice to see them. We had our Student Leadership Awards ceremony in Warner Robins this past Tuesday, and there was a number of students that were awarded Student Leadership Awards, but we did have a new award of Club of the Year, or RSO of the Year, and BOLD, which is the Brothers of Leadership and Distinction, came away with that this year. We had an award for the Outstanding RSO Community Service Award, and MGREAT, which is the Middle Georgia Respiratory Education Action Team, was awarded that. They had the most community service projects throughout the year. And then we had an award for the Best Student Employee of the Year, and Rachel Podwalski, who works in the Department of NCA, was awarded that. So we've got fantastic students, as you know, and we were excited to award them. And like I said, all of you that work with our students in student organizations, I know it's extra work for you, but it really means a lot to the students that you work with. Residence Life, they teamed up with Knowledge at Work this year and had our first university alternative spring break. And they went to Savannah and had an a wonderful opportunity of doing a lot of community service in that area, and we hope to increase those opportunities and increase participation in that this next year. And they're still doing themed housing, and we're still working on living learning communities. I believe they're working with nursing for a small living learning community this fall. If any of you want to work with Residence Life and have a living learning community, that they'd love to partner with you. They do some themed housing on community service and aviation already, and we're excited because the numbers look like we need to open a residence hall that's been closed for a while. So Talmadge Hall on the Cochran campus, that's been closed for a while. It is going to be open for the fall. And we're excited to actually open a residence hall in Residence Life. Last but not least is athletics. Last year I stood up here and told you that we were finding our way through the NAIA and learning all the rules and processes. Well, we found our way, and I've had a fantastic year. Our women's soccer and our men's basketball were both ranked nationally during their season. And currently our women's tennis team is ranked number 9 in the nation in the NAIA. Our men's tennis is 21 and our baseball is 14. So we've had a lot of success in athletics this year, and we're excited about starting women's cross country and women's volleyball. Like Bill said earlier, the gym, the old gym, which we hope to have a better name for that shortly, is being transformed as we speak into a top-notch classic women's volleyball stadium, arena, floor. And so we're excited about that. We have our women's volleyball coach is Orlando Gonzalez. He just started a couple weeks ago and has already gotten a big part of our team together. And then Harley Miller, which many of you know, who works in the Rec and Wellness Center here in Macon, is adding cross country onto his responsibilities. So we're excited to have those two gentlemen help with athletics. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call Miss Nancy Stroud, our Executive VP for Finance and Operations, to give the report of the Fiscal Affairs area.
Good morning. Just a few announcements. Just want to go over. We submitted the fiscal year 17 budget yesterday. There were no real surprises. As expected, our state appropriations were cut $1.9 million for the enrollment decline. We did receive state appropriations funding for 3% merit increases this year. We received most of what we requested to operate the Vector Center in Warner Robins. That's the Veterans Education Center that's being built down there. And that was about it for state appropriations. We didn't get much more money at all. And then, as you know, there were no increases in tuition and fees for next year. So to balance the budget, we once again had to do some unsustainable practices of taking people's salaries from education and general funds and putting them over to some other little pots of money that we could. That's unsustainable, but we think, things are turning around. We feel like that the credit hour production this year, this calendar or this academic year, was only down by 1,000 credit hours, and we expect next year, FY18, we expect that we will only have a state appropriations cut of about $250,000. And when you compare that to $7.2 million over the past 3 years, then we're headed in the right direction. We were able to increase the total budgeted faculty by 5 positions, and we decreased the staff by 5 positions. So we were able to add some faculty positions. Just a quick note about the changes in human resources. I'm pleased to announce that we have a new interim executive director of human resources beginning on Monday. Her name is Vicki Smith. She has many years of human resources experience and at universities and colleges and in the private sector, so we're excited to have her here. We are planning active shooter training on every campus this summer for faculty and staff. There will be 2 sessions on each campus. More information will be coming out about that through email. It'll be on Inside MGA. I know your deans will be sending you information. I hope that you will all attend that training. I think that's all of us' greatest fear, and we want to know that everybody is as prepared as we can be. So please watch for that information and please attend that training. As far as campus carry that Kevin mentioned, if it passes, we will provide additional training and information on campus carry and what it means to us. So we'll get something out to you if we need to on that. And the final thing, as Kevin mentioned, the contracts for faculty that run through the end of May. We realized that faculty were not properly informed of the change in pay dates for the May payroll. So for this May, we will keep the May pay date at May 13th. Because the faculty obligations and the contract runs through May 31st, next May, we will change that pay date to the end of May. And actually, I will be sending an email later today to notify everybody that that pay date will be changed next year. But for this year, it will be May 13th. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other reports or announcements? You have the ears of the other 4 campus locations. So if you have an announcement at this time, anyone? Yes, we have one. And you need to come up to the mics where they can hear you because they're not going to hear you.
I'm David Sidor. I served as Ron's proxy as chair of the Media Advisory Board and apparently didn't get him a report. The board met on January 27th. We approved the editors of the various publications and also reviewed strategies for restoring the budget of Night Vision, the TV station, which was defunded from SGA the previous year. We also, discussed ways in which the student media can raise their profile on campus, including getting a button on the front page of the webpage and various other strategies along those lines. We've been talking with OTR about improving those various methods since then, and we'll be meeting again in the fall to approve the new editors for the various publications. Thank you.
Any other announcements or reports that may have been missed? Okay, at this time, I'd like to personally thank Dr. Cantwell. When you get an email from the president, such as I got, and I was in the privacy of my office, I was thinking it's the end of the semester, and I had an OMG moment in which I blew up Kevin Cantwell's phone. And I would like to also thank Mr. Bill Hervey for his direction, having people like this to lean on. Jennifer Jones for her work that she did, Carrie Wimberly. Takes a lot of work to go into this to make it a success. And I really want to thank all of you for your input, your guidance, your direction. You're very invaluable parts of this institution. And I know those in charge know that already. Okay, then, I think I need to hear a motion that we adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second? Thank you all for coming out on a Friday morning that was very beautiful outside and doing the university business. Thank you, all the remote locations. Thank you for attending as well.